Last week, we talked about the New Jersey governor primaries that were happening earlier this week, which was Tuesday. And so we officially got our results and we know exactly who our winners are. So this week, we're just going to talk a little bit about the people who won and kind of like my reaction to it. So, for the Republican Party, Jack Ciattarelli and Mikie Sherrill. First off, did you know that Mikie Sherrill's name is Rebecca? Girl, I was stunned. I said, oh, had I known, I might have liked her a little more. But no. So those are going to be the two people who are running in the New Jersey official governor's race once we reach November. So first off, this was one of the quickest elections I have ever seen in my life, because I was at work and, I'm monitoring this and everything like that. And literally we started our coverage at 8 p.m. Mind you, the polls closed at 8 p.m. also. We found out who won the Republican Party at 8:19. Do you know how crazy that is? 19 minutes after everything closed, we already found out the winner. And it's like the numbers weren't even close. Like he was already in I want to say 120,000 votes ahead of his next competitor. And also it's important to mention that he was one of the people who was endorsed by Trump. So that kind of helped push him more into a lot of his, the people who voted for him's eyes, I'm assuming. And then for Mikie Sherrill, I would say about, 30 minutes after we found out about the Republican who won for the Republican Party, we found out that Mikie Sherrill won. So Shayla had shared last week. I'll let you speak to who you wanting to win.
Yeah. So for me, I think this is exactly why I preach the importance of voting. I think a lot of people, especially my age, but also in my demographic where I'm from, like I've said, I'm from Patterson. If you are not from Jersey, around the area, I live in a very urban area. You know what I mean? Like people that are living paycheck to paycheck, people that, aren't really tapped into politics, and social media is not real life. We say this all the time because if you were going based off of social media, a lot of times people talk and we're like, when I posted the video on our social medias about my top 3 candidates, a lot of people in the comments was like, oh, I voted for Ras Baraka. I voted for Ras Baraka. And on the online discourse, it was like, oh, Ras Baraka, Ras Baraka. But the reality is that a lot of people did not show up and vote. And Mikie Sherrill is a representative of, a predominantly white town. She has the name recognition, and she supports or represents people that actually show up and vote. And that is just the truth of the matter. So it doesn't matter if you hop online and you talk about X, Y, Z, the third. If you're not putting actions behind those words, it doesn't mean anything. And there are also people that lie. I don't understand why you would sit on social media and be like, oh yeah, I voted, when you know very much that you did not. And at the end of the day, the facts are gonna show up. So something was not adding up, because a lot of people were trying to talk about how they were supporting X candidate. But if the results came in less than an hour before the polls ended, clearly a lot of people did not show up and vote. And it is what it is. At the end of the day, Mikie Sherrill won in the primaries. And number 2, when it comes to Jack, I think he's not new to this. When it comes to the Republican Party, he has been the candidate that has been front and center. I believe when Governor Phil Murphy got reelected, he only won by a very, very slim majority. And, he had that support already going from back then. So it was just kind of reinforced now. And as you mentioned, he's trying to connect himself with Trump, so that probably helped him out as well. But at the end of the day, now these are the candidates that will be officially running. And again, please don't make the same mistake that has happened in the primaries or just in voting in general. A lot of people claim that they want things to get better for their towns. They want this, they want that. But all they do is sit behind a phone, a computer, and complain and complain and complain. But when it comes to action, they do nothing. So please make sure that you go out and vote if you don't like what's happening in your community, and not even just in Jersey, just in general, all across the United States or wherever you may be from. It's cute to complain about things, but the reality is that you need politicians, right? Because those are the people that can actually create change, whether you like it or not. You need to show up in the booth. So that's just
So,
my little 2 cents on that.
like for me, when I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all, Shayla had given all her people that she had wanted, and I was never a fan of Ross Baraka because of my own personal reasons, right? And when I found out he didn't win and I saw how low his percentage was, I was like, good, because like I said, personal reasons. When I saw that Mikie Sherrill was the person who was going to win, I originally had thought it was either going to be Spiller or it was going to be Full Up. And I didn't want it to be Full Up either, right? So when I saw it was Mikie Sherrill, I was like, this is very interesting to me. And the reason why I find it very interesting is because I feel like this is going to kind of be similar to when it was like Hillary Clinton and Trump. Because everybody, like you said, we're in these bubbles where we think people are going to vote or go in a certain direction, but that's because we're in these bubbles where we follow people or interact with people who share the same type of mindset and concepts that we do. And so it's like, I feel like you're going to see that kind of like that type of tension, because even with the past election that we had for the president, when it was Trump versus Kamala, people don't want women in places of power. I don't care how you try to frame it to me. I don't care how you try to paint the picture. That is literally the end all be all. That's what it gives to me. Right? So when I saw that it was going to be Mikie Sherrill versus Jack, I was just like, yeah, this is going to be very interesting, because the last time New Jersey had a female governor, this was the first and last one. Her name was Christine Temple Whitman, and she was the New Jersey governor from 1994 to 2001. And that was literally the last time we've ever had a woman in place of power as a governor. So I just think it's going to be very interesting because, I just said, I don't feel like people like to see women be uplifted, but they don't want to see them in certain places of power because either they just don't feel like women will be the ones to be able to lead that type of charge, or they just aren't confident in a woman's ability to just lead anything. I think that's going to also be a factor. So on top of Jack having Trump's support and people, you already see how his people are. Like if he say he love that, they're gonna love that. But I think also the fact that women don't always support women, that's another thing too.
Yeah, and like we're not sitting here saying that you have to support a woman just simply because they're a woman, right? Like, of course, you vote for who you ever want to vote for, but I 1,000% agree with you. I think just the fact that she is a woman is already gonna be used against her.
Yeah.
And I think also, even if you don't agree with all her policies and things like that, I think, some people don't agree with this, right? Like they're like, oh, well, why should I have to settle for this person? I'm just not going to go out and vote. I think that is also a mistake, because this is how sometimes we land where we land, because a lot of people stay home. So I just think my message is, please don't sit out. Because if you do sit out, I feel like I don't want to hear you complaining. I don't. I don't. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, especially now with all the things that are happening around the world, they're like, oh, well, I'm good because I'm in a blue state. Oh, I'm especially in Jersey, because I feel like we haven't really felt a lot of like the craziness. Like, don't get me wrong, I know it is happening, but we haven't felt it to the level that it can get to, because we have had, leaders that are kind of more left leaning. So just, you might be sitting in comfort, but in order to maintain that, make sure that you go out and vote, because things can change in a blink of an eye. You saying real pretty right now, but when them reproductive rights are being shaken up, when they going into your job and conducting these ICE raids, and they're doing XYZ, the public education funding goes down, and all of these other things that you may not be feeling right now, I don't want to hear about it if you did not vote. I'm not saying you 1,000% have to believe every single policy that Mikie Sherrill stands for. I don't think there is a perfect candidate, period. Everyone lacks something. Even as humans, we all lack something. Sometimes you do have to settle or just compromise just for the simple fact of getting things done. And so a lot of people, it's hard to even own a home in Jersey, right? Like home ownership in New Jersey, the prices has gone through the roof. So just make sure that you're thinking about all these things when it comes time to November. And again, get in the booth.